Stephen J. James may be coming soon. Well, he said he would anyway. Um, I, in the meantime, will give you a background. Here he is. Here he is. Hold on. Let me just turn down the volume to the other one.
Oh man. Hey, what's up, Claire?
Yes, thank you for coming. I feel very philosophical this evening because today so many subjects arose that made me think of morality, philosophy, and theology. And you were part of the conversation this morning.
Oh, really? Where?
Well, about
Vincent's face.
history. So you were arguing with Robert of
Oh, I
Australia
see. This morning. Yeah.
and Maud.
So drunk.
But I think he was making sense. He couldn't remember Nelson, but eventually he remembered Nelson. But it occurs to me that after so much human history, people still don't know what's good for them. Do they? I don't think they do.
So what's your point? I mean,
My point is that all these ancient empires, well, if they're really ancient, most of them have become extinct. The ones who are still around probably aren't sure if they're going to survive that much longer, or they still have problems and they still don't know what to do. And this includes the American empire as well as China and all the other places. The Iran, that's a pretty ancient empire, and so you may be thinking, well, I mean, you can show if you're clever enough that your arguments are correct, but at the end of the day, has it really convinced anyone? And perhaps people are just not convinced, or maybe they're not convinced because they don't like your view. And you can never shift them because they're going to hold on to their view, whatever the arguments. There are people like that, and I, so I'm also referring to your stream with Brutus yesterday, and you were both saying, as I seem to remember it, that you can't allow people to diss your national heroes, and then I was thinking, well,
pretty much.
are they really your national heroes? Maybe they're your national villains, and you made a terrible mistake thinking they're national heroes. Isn't that possible?
I suppose it's possible in theory, of course, but like, you end up in a terrible place if, like our history is one of victory in war. We have a mythos as to why we fought it and why so many people died, and we have a mythos of victory. We have our heroes. The memory is one of winning, of succeeding in adversity. If you then tear that down and say, well, we were the evil guys, we were the bad guys, you end up in a very bad place. You end up hating yourself, and nothing good can come of this.
But nothing good can come out of not admitting your mistakes either.
Sure, but I mean, if we're talking about this specifically, the Second World War, my position on it is that we didn't start it. So, I mean, we're just going to disagree about this.
I really
So
wasn't
like,
so much arguing about
right?
that, but just sort of generally not learning from the lessons of history, like saying, well, I'm going to support who I consider to be my national hero, whatever the arguments. When I guess we don't know, and I remember, it's like, oh, so many people died, and then you think, well, they're all going to die anyway. We're all going to die, so you know what difference does it make? It doesn't,
That's a very
split.
Chinese. That's a very Chinese way of thinking, Claire. I mean,
Well, actually, it
what does
was
it matter
John
if
Maynard Keynes, a gay
right?
British economist, who said, in the long run, we are all dead.
Yes. So let me think about this. So I imagine, look, there's definitely something to what you say, and when you get to the point of being like the leader of a giant nation, of an empire, even, then I'm sure you do think in these terms, and life does become very expendable. And you do justify things in this manner of, well, everybody's going to die anyway. But the simple fact of the matter as to why death, premature death inflicted upon people is bad, if you're if you're wanting to
Yeah,
know the answer, is because of the
unnecessary
vast
death.
suffering,
Yes.
that it causes those who live on.
So unnecessary death is obviously
Yes.
tragic, and if you do terrible things to your demographics, yeah, then you as a nation and empire will decline. And um, I think maybe the secret behind the success of China, or the longevity of it, is t- is to use the Chinese ancestor worship to basically, like, okay, lots of people died in this terribly tragic war, but we got plenty more where they came from. So
Ju-
it's like, fine,
ju-
we will produce more, but if you don't produce more, then I think the extinction um, danger is very real.
just hang on a second. I'm just going to take my shirt off. Don't get too excited. I'm just getting hot.
It's that hot, huh? It's
I've
30
got my
degrees
central
here.
I've got my central heating on now, so I have this problem where now, because I have cold central heating, that
You can't
we're in this
regulate the
period,
temperature.
not as good as gas. So basically, I either have a really hot house or a cold house. It's because we're in that like period before winter, so yeah, it's not. Anyway,
Well, my heating isn't on.
yeah, but I can't turn mine off once the boiler's lit. That's the
Okay.
difference. And we're in this warm period now. I've considered letting the boiler go out, but then I have to
It
light it
might get
again.
cold again.
Yeah, yeah. The look, yeah. There's payoffs with having coal. It's cheap. It's cheaper, but you know.
Yeah.
So where were we anyway?
We were talking about um, crazy things that empires do, and some of them have not survived. I mean, possibly, China might become, like the West, because actually they have a lot of gay rights, and because there are so many more Chinese men than there are Chinese women, the government has kind of, closed half an eye about the gayness, and there's even a kind of frivolous word used to describe gay Chinese men, which is to call them comrades.
Right.
And they were
So
given, gay rights, like, oh, what happens when, the guy you're living with suddenly dies, and do you have rights to go to the funeral, without the family shunning you, and, I guess the power of attorney and that kind of thing. So yeah, I think it's quite,
do
advanced
they
there.
have what is the status of like LGBT over there? Do they have like a marriage or anything for these people?
Not yet, but
Not yet.
but I mean, there's a pretty interesting LGBT in rights in China article on Wikipedia. But I'll tell you that this time when I was in Beijing airport, and it was in a way quite shocking. So there were these a mixed group of Chinese male and female airport workers, and and they were just laughing and joking and walking along, and the male one slapped another male colleague on the bottom. And I thought,
What?
yeah, I mean, it's like that's
What?
pretty fucking blatant, right?
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
nobody would do this in
You wouldn't
the
do that
UK,
here.
and it's pretty blatant
No.
here.
Yeah.
So uh,
Wild.
and I remember, well, this was some years ago. The report of, oh, the Chinese Communist Party is cracking down on these gay people because it's going to ban Mr. Gay Universe, because they just thought it was too terrible to allow this kind of competition, because it was corrupting to the morals of the Chinese.
Mr. Gay Universe. Holy fuck. Oh
I
my
know, and
god.
then they said, no, you can't have that. We're not going to put up with it. Oh, did you see that rap thing? I mean, we were talking about rap in Chinese. Did I?
No.
I thought that.
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Anyhow, I put it. Well, I think I tagged you, but maybe I didn't. Um, and
Maybe I
yeah,
missed it today. I don't know. I've had quite a few notifications today.
yes.
But look, I think the wider point, Claire, is I my belief is that the boulder of progress does roll down the hill, and that it's very difficult to stop this except at the barrel of a gun and by really oppressive means. So I cite an example of this as perhaps I don't know, like the Islamic Revolution in Iran would be a great example of them doing it forcefully. But in the long span of history, I think we're going to end up, all of us, at some form of liberalism. I really think it's hard to keep repressed for
But
all
the
its
media
ills.
is so powerful. I really think that it is possible to make people believe in almost anything. Well, when I hear of all the crazy things online that people voluntarily believe in, with nobody forcing them, it's like, uh, I'm already a white supremacist. I think I'll add flat Earth to my repertoire, and nukes are fake and moon landings are fake. I just can't wait to gather all these crazy ideas to make up the whole wonderful package that is me. So I really I can't work it out. So I think
Yeah,
there is a kind of
well,
collective madness that I think we're suffering because we're not actually told what to believe in, and we need to. It's like it doesn't matter if we don't agree. We just need
but
something to push against, and something that we can say that's the official system, but I don't agree with it personally. But this is our official moral system, and we need just that to kind of put things in order, or we will all eventually go
but do
crazy.
you have a case? Do you have a case though of a society which has turned away from liberalism to authoritarianism voluntarily?
Nothing is voluntary. Nothing is voluntary. And another thing I wanted to discuss
That's
with
the
you is leadership. So we're talking about moral and political leadership, as well as possibly military leadership. If you want to refer to the conversation we had earlier today about Churchill as a wartime leader. There are
Yep.
different kinds of leadership, and I'm saying we need leadership, right? Nobody's interested in e- nobody's interested in wanting the job. I suspect our politicians are just saying, oh, we don't even know. We just prefer following orders from America, and well, we don't know what's going to happen in America, but I guess it won't be too long before we know.
Well, the alternatives are few and far between. Obviously, America is, the hegemon of the world, the most powerful nation. So, America does have the empire. America's, the policeman of the world. So,
And
and
making
this is
itself
our.
very unpopular.
Well, that's the role of the policeman. I mean, police are always unpopular to some extent. But the alternative isn't great, Claire. I mean, as much as you simp for like the Russian and Chinese sphere, it's not a great alternative for us. I wouldn't, as for all the ills of our own society and all the criticisms I have for us and the, path that we're on, I would not wish us to cede, hegemony of the world to China, for instance. I think
What
that
I'm
would be
saying
a
is
very
that
dangerous situation.
I'm not proposing doing any of those things. And I'm glad you raised the subject because obviously that you have assumed that I was going to just let the Russians and all the rest of them take over. No, I'm saying that it is still possible for the West to retain its moral and political leadership, but only if it repents and adopts secular Quranism. Because there'll be the oops, we did wrong, and we're gonna be sensible now, and
You see,
so
I
this.
believe on the contrary that you're wrong, and I think that democracy and liberalism is actually the more the more resilient form of government. The Western nations have all ended up in this place for a reason, and it comes down to the fact that these are more resilient forms of government for all their flaws. So
How
there
so?
is the because they are survivors. They they last. They are less prone to shock and instability, and it is, but there is, whether it's true or not, there is the belief amongst the people that you can, swap out a bad government for a good one.
Do
And
you really
this,
do you really believe that yourself? I mean, I don't think we're going to vote our way out of this. With three attempts to assassinate Trump, I don't think people are playing fair.
it looks like it was two attempts, just to be correct. I think the third one was a mistake. Wow, blast from the past in the chat there. Zero. Do you remember that sphere of people with Zero
Yes,
and
I think he's
Domingo
Estonian
and
or something,
yeah, I haven't seen
somewhere from
those
the
guys
Baltic
for
states.
I haven't seen those
Yeah,
guys for like 2 years. What happened to that? And who was the other guy with a really deep voice? Cade.
I don't
Do you remember
remember
him?
him. I don't remember. It sort of rings
Is
a
it
bell, but I don't even know what he says.
and Domingo and who else was over there? There was that
Konops.
no Conops. I don't think came from there. There was that girl. Anyway, I think Diana, who you talk to occasionally, came from that circle. Anyway, sorry, blast from the past. I just saw Zero appear there and think, what? What happened to that? They used to call their group like a pocket on the internet, didn't they?
I didn't know. I didn't even know they were associated with each other.
And
But
nobody knew what they were even talking about. What even was their purpose for talking on the internet? Does it? Can you?
well, I mean, I never really
Did they
knew
have
what
one?
Zero was on about. He would just jump on, and then I just wouldn't know what he was on about. I think
Oh,
the only useful thing I got from him was that he mentioned that Muhammad was on the frieze of the U.S. Supreme Court. I think he was the one who brought that to my attention. Yes.
and the
But
10 U.S. presidents before George Washington or something. Anyway, blast from the past.
yes. But I think what is driving everyone crazy is nobody knowing what the rules are supposed to be. And I think even the people in charge kind of need to know what the rules are so they can enforce them. So because in a way they need to kind of stay on the right side of the law, right? Because there was a time when, well, I remember, okay, during lockdown, there was just so many stupid rules coming out about lockdown that they didn't know whether they were coming or going, and then they forgot that they passed their own those rules, and then they broke their own rules. And I think people kind of even forgave them because it was like that. There's just so many rules. Who can remember them, even if you make them yourself? Ha ha ha.
True. Yes.
So what we need is fewer rules but rules that people can remember and stay the same for a while, right? But if we
Yes.
don't even
Yeah,
know what
I
the
kind
rules
of
are,
agree.
we just really don't know anything.
Yes, yes, I kind of agree. This is why British common law was always superior to continental law, or what's what's the other alternative? Is it?
What, Roman law, civil law?
Yeah, what they have in France? What do they call it in France?
They call it civil law, but it's
Basically,
just
the
means.
fundamental difference is that here something isn't illegal until it's explicitly forbidden. So you start with fewer things that you can't do, and then things are made. Then a judgment is made. This thing is not permitted, or you have laws. But in places like France, they regulate everything like from the bottom up, don't they?
Well, I don't really know, but I suppose, it's all touch and go, and we'll see if anything bad happens to you if you do this thing. Yeah, yeah, you can say what is not forbidden is allowed, what is allowed is, you
Yes.
know, but we don't even know anymore because, we hear of, all these laws that are about to be passed, um, and they all sound so scary, and and even if they're passed, they might not be enforced. So, we're a bit vague, and then I guess they might think, oh, we don't like you, we're going to enforce all all the rules,
But
and persecute you. But for somebody else with views that they like better, they get away with murder, maybe.
but let's just do a thought experiment, okay? Secular Quranism is brought in overnight, but and it's allowed to go on for a few years, but the problems aren't being solved. So let's say, for all intents and purposes, this is just a thought experiment. So we put it into place, we put everything that you want into place, and then we look at society and we realize that for whatever reason, it hasn't done the fixes that we expected. At that point, you would wish to start changing things, wouldn't you? We change things and implement different things according to circumstance. Not everything that is theoretical works out in the real world.
Hmm.
So this is like the basis of how we have developing legislation, and the reason why legislation changes, and we have you know in our system, different parties propose different legislation and the public go with it.
Yes, but what we need is to understand the purposes of the different kinds of legislation. So I think reasonable people can agree that any civilized society would have laws forbidding murder and theft, right? And
Yes.
because we don't, we like that because we don't want to be murdered and we don't want to be stolen from. But then, the next one would be sexual immorality, and this I think is the most problematic concept of all, because people, it's like, well, it's as long as a piece of string. So the liberal idea of sexual morality is very different to somebody who is religious, for example. And this people don't like discussing. And I think and sex is very important because it's all to do with parenting and choosing suitable long-term partners, and which is an onerous and long-term undertaking. And if you don't support people who do, who become married parents and look after the next generation, then obviously terrible things are going to happen to your society because you'll just get stupider and more corrupt and crazier and drug addicted people who will not be a credit to their parents. And I'm saying it's so simple. I don't know why people find it so hard to accept.
Well, because it's very authoritarian, and we're here in a position now where we, you can't convince me that I want to give away my freedoms to choose my own mate, to choose my own,
No, why?
to date, to maybe have illicit sex
Okay,
even.
okay. This is the situation. Let's imagine secular Quranism, all the rules that I want. Um, One of the things that you mentioned to Brutus, Brutus was saying, "Oh, when in Brazil, the birds are wonderful. I went to brothels and they were great, and they were so." And then you were going, but anyway, yeah, you'd have licensed brothels in red light districts. So I don't see how that would stop you from having fun. And thank you
But
for
I know it's
mentioning
hard for you.
earlier
Yeah.
that this what is not forbidden is allowed. Prostitution is not forbidden in the Bible or the Quran.
Well, look, this may surprise you, but I'm not interested in prostitutes. Okay,
I know you can
you
you
know,
can get girlfriends, but we're talking about the incels. You said you care about the incels, don't you?
yeah, but yes, but deep down, people don't just. Well, I suppose, guys do want to just have sex, but deep down, you're all looking for the one, for the long-term partner. You're looking for love.
Did I send you my post about the social and educational program under secular Quranism? Yes, I did. Marriage bureaus and yeah. So, but yeah. So, oh yes, government introduction agencies, dance classes, debating societies to acquaint people with the values of secular Quranism. Game shows, competitions, lotteries.
Yeah, but here's the thing: it doesn't. It's not as simple as that, Claire. Like,
You're going to say no, how whatever I say, because you're supposed to reject it. Okay, let's
no,
hear it. Let's
but
hear your
no, no, no.
objections.
My objection is that relationships just aren't as easy as you might think.
You
So,
will have government support, marital counselling, remedial marriageability
I
classes.
mean, here's the thing: if somebody like me, I mean, I don't. I mean, we almost got into it last night. Brutus is like, you're a kickboxer with abs. If you can't get a girlfriend, I'm like, I can. The problem is, that I affect, that isn't
Long-term
my problem.
relationships.
Yeah.
Right.
So if I can't find somebody suitable, then it's not so easy as just pairing a vagina with a penis.
Yeah, you have to make it clear to the people who want a long-term partner what the purpose of it is. It's like, well, if you just want to screw around, you don't need this marriage thing. But if you want to be parents, then you have to be married parents, and you have to take the whole thing seriously. And
Yeah, but
so
what
when
if
you
you
choose
can't
a
live
partner,
together?
it can't be,
I mean,
how big is his penis? How sexy is she? You have to think of other criteria to um, you know, to choose your partner, right? And people can't think like that. It's like, I have to fancy him or I'm not interested. He's got to be a Chad, he's got to be a prince, she's got to be hot.
yes, but what I'm trying
Unrealistic
to get at,
expectations.
no, it's not that. Yeah, half of my trouble is I realize very quickly, with that I just couldn't bear to spend more than like another day with these girls or whatever. That it seems like a good idea at the time, and they're like, oh my god, we have absolutely nothing in common. This is like, this is like a chore already. I'm out.
Actually, a lot of men say that. It's like they don't like girly shit. They don't like girly conversation, and some women just sort of go on about whatever's on their minds, and it's not very much, right? So, um, um, I think a lot is to do with well, the man has to go out to work, and it's like who we can't just go on about what's on our minds. And I think there was some Chinese philosopher who said that in reality, husbands and wives, the best way for husbands and wives to get on with each other is to treat each other as honored guests in their own home, because otherwise they're just not going to get along. So yes, you
Yeah,
have to
well,
be polite and considerate and hygienic and blah blah.
sure. And you can do that for a week or 2 weeks, but then familiarity breeds contempt, doesn't it? And you kind of figure out very quickly, if you're hanging around somebody, even even people that you've hung, even people that you know out like through work. I mean, God forbid, I mean, it sounds awful, but I've nearly dated everybody at work.
Well, most people find their long term
And
partner at work anyway.
but but the realization comes very quickly. Whoa, this person is nothing like their their personality at work. They're actually nothing like, they most people are going around putting on a complete fake representation of themselves. They are completely different.
Yes,
Once the fail drop, once the guard drops of I'm putting on a show for somebody, people are completely different animals.
yes, because they say you weren't like this before we married. You're not boring and irritating and untidy and blah blah blah. And and I suppose yes, it is, a horrible. Um,
And I'm so I'm like really autistic that like one little thing, well, will just like gripe me and that'll be it. Like I don't know, like God forbid, like a girl is just rude about my dog or something like that, and that's it. Goodbye. I mean, get out of here. Go away.
well, okay, but
Or
having pets is. I'm sorry, it's not. You two have to get a pet together. You can't be love me and love my pet, or forget it, because that's just a recipe for long term singleton, being a longer term singleton, because it's really annoying. It's like, I know that if somebody does that to me, it's sort of like my pet is never going to grow up. It's not like a child who one day leave home and whatever. It'll just get worse. So I
yes, but I've
it's not
got.
a good
I mean,
idea.
this was just like a small example. I was just reaching
You
for
just
an
have to be
example
more
off the
tolerant,
shelf.
and you're going to get more intolerant the older you get. Sorry about that. That's just the problem
I've
with
already got an
natural
intolerant. That's the
defenses.
problem. I've already got an intolerant. That's my problem. It'd
Mm.
probably be better if I was like a pure incel, desperate. But
But that's the thing, I suppose. Living with somebody else that we can barely tolerate actually makes us more tolerant. And then having children, wow, that's going to make you so tolerant because of the mess and the noise and all that shit.
yeah,
And I guess now that people think about it, it's like, oh, I'd rather not then. Which is what, and that's why when you think of religion, it's all about frightening people into marrying before they have too much of a chance to think about it. And for quite a few people, they've already missed their boat, and their personality is set, and they're not going to be putting up with somebody else's pet or whatever.
well, tough shit. I've got a little old dog, and if you don't like my little old dog, then get fucked. For now, he won't be around for much longer.
Yeah, but in the meantime, I suppose you can think of what's going to. I mean, don't immediately get a new dog, because well, that's no. I have this girlfriend,
No, I won't. I
and
won't. I don't think I'll have another.
yeah, but there was a time when she said, because she was so needy, I thought, why don't you get a dog? I said, no, I won't, because I saw when my mother-in-law lost her husband, she really, really, really needed a dog, and it was terrible watching her fuss over a silly dog. And then years later, I heard she got a dog herself, and I knew she had given up.
Yeah, I don't think I'll get another. I mean, it's brutal, seeing your little dog getting old, and
Mm.
heartbreaking.
Yes, I suppose it's an extra reminder, and in a temperate
Of
climate.
mortality.
Yeah, and of course, the changing of the seasons is another reminder. Like, what was I doing this time last summer? Whatever. But
Yeah, in a weird way, like in a weird way, my dog's life has kind of mirrored my own like sporting career in a weird way. So like as I don't know, I kind of decided to give up fighting when my dog could no longer run, which is funny. It's weird how that happened. Right.
but he would run along with you when you were jogging or something.
Oh yeah, we would run everywhere. I mean, I'd probably run him to death. Actually, there's, whether it's done him good or not, but yeah, we would go for runs everywhere, all multiple times a day. I mean, I used to film it. I used to, go take Buddy for a run and film and do my streams.
Mm.
Um, but yes, I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about.
No, but okay. I mean, I go on at that, Vincent, because it's like, you don't have to do it. You're gay. Nobody's going to force you into marrying. And it's like, at least he gets it about the burdens of parenthood because, all his sort of dystopian scenarios of making women extinct and then getting gay men to be parents and forcing them to bring
It's
up the next
insane.
generation. It's like there's actually no way of getting around it, even in theory. So it's like, yeah, sorry, boys and girls, you'll have to marry each other and produce, other more boys and girls within wedlock. And as the English say, you can't live with them, anybody can't live without them. So you have to have some kind of arrangement, a modus vivendi, a way of living that is acceptable or tolerable to most people to keep, you know, society going.
Why does Vincent even want a kid? Has he even spoken about this?
Well, I think he
Because usually
okay,
the
he's an
drive is to.
intellectual, so he cares about these things. So I think, I guess deep down he's a kind of white nationalist, but a very disappointed one.
Because usually the drive, or I say usually, I mean, the instinct in me is to create like another version of myself and guide it away from the pitfalls that I encountered in life such that it could succeed where I failed. That's like the idea for me.
Yes, your own creature to mold and guide. And
Yes.
and I think everybody, I suppose secretly thinks, oh, perhaps, my offspring will be better than me if I'm
Yes.
around, that kind of thing.
Yes. It should be. That's how it should work. As long as you pick somebody, who isn't retarded, then that all the odds in the world are that you should then be able to produce a little mini me and then guide it through away from the pitfalls that you encountered. And so, in theory, it should do, I don't know, at least like 10% better than you.
Yes. But in the way of finding an acceptable long-term partner, have you considered sort of writing down the least you'd be prepared to put up with? The minimum. Obviously, the sky's the limit. But I think if people actually said, well, she mustn't do this and she must do that, or whatever, you know, maybe that would. help, and you so the trouble with women is what, that they bore you, or they get drunk or something like that. Is that what do you find annoying about women?
Well, I'd say usually that their interests are banal, or they seem to have no there to them. You know, they're skin deep. They're all they're interested in are like surface level stuff. So I particularly am not interested in like girls who are just like obsessed about, I know, girly stuff, makeup, fashion, trends, TikTok, any of this shit. I don't know, I want somebody to, appear who has a drive, an interest, something that I don't have to, somebody who's not needy and looking for attention. This is like the thing that drives me nuts. Somebody who does not need, crave attention, which is like the curse of the Zoomer generation. They crave and attention, and so they are like attention seeking. Whereas, yeah, I often, so I go to, everybody laughs at me when I talk about this, but I'm much more attracted to like, and get this right, don't like mistake what I'm saying here, but like the Greta Thunberg archetype, in a weird way, somebody who is like, who like has a mission, has a drive, even if it's a crazy one, and this is their thing, and they're doing it, and they're interested in it, and it doesn't, you know, they might have like, I don't know, 20% time for me, but the rest of it, they're occupied, they're interested, they're driven, they have like deep passion, it matters to them, it guides their life, and they don't need me to give them like their reason to exist all day, like coming to me, what are we doing, what are we going to do, and all this kind of nonsense. Does this make any sense?
Yes, it does, and I wonder why, all these dating apps that they're kind of geared towards women, and I used to think
Yeah.
I'd like to run something that's geared towards men, and the thing is, the men is like, I just want to have sex, or something of that nature. They don't seem to
Well,
really,
most do, I suppose. Yeah.
yeah. And it's like, no, you have to think in the long term, and you have to say, um, I won't put up with this, but I'll accept that. And I think, why hasn't somebody thought of this before? And I suppose it's probably because a lot of men are actually embarrassed to say what they want, because they think, the woman will hate them immediately if they say that. Like, I just want her to be um, passably attractive, um, and not answer back, and look after the house, be a good cook, da 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 da, and that's it. And I guess most women will feel insulted, when they hear that. But maybe there's a better way of bringing women to the negotiating table, because I mean, as far as women are concerned, it's like, there's only one thing that women should do, and it is to remain attractive but not put out. Because when you don't put out, there will be more marriageable men for you to choose from. But if you keep putting out, the number of marriageable men will keep diminishing. And that is something that I think that even the dimmest woman can understand.
Yeah, there's two types of girls that I tend to meet, and they're either like professional attention farmers. They've realized the attention farming game, or it's just like instinctual that like they get attention from men, and they can wield it to their advantage. They know how to do it. They know how to play the game, and they know how to wield their like their looks, their power as a woman, as a girl, to gain what they want in life. And then the others are just utterly like banal, boring, zero there, complete, like just, zero interest, defined by, their shit television programs or something like this.
What kind of I also had an idea that I would like to run a place that allowed these conversations to take place. Kind of, well, I was geisha house, but I mean, it wouldn't be exactly like that. Um, so that people can actually
What's
talk.
that, brothel?
No, no. So okay, so this is my idea. Um, you that all these women, you have to buy them a drink or a meal and talk to them while they're drinking or eating and work them out from the conversation. And this would obviously be good for business, but only if attractive women come, you know, to the bar, restaurant, place that I have in mind, I guess.
Yeah, girls don't need to do that anymore, though, Claire. Girls don't need to do that. They have the dating apps. They have Tinder. Have you seen? In fact, I might do a feature on it next week. Have you seen just what it's like for women? Have you ever used Tinder? Out of
No,
interest.
no, but I did see somebody's Tinder results, and I was horrified.
Right.
They
Were they
frightened.
male or female?
It was a guy.
Was it
And
Jay?
yes. Oh my God, they're so scary, these women.
Oh my god.
It's like, is that what's available? Oh my God, it was scary. I mean, I thought I was
What would it say, like Barbara 61 from Leeds likes crosswords and bingo? And there's a
well, with
picture of her
Tinder,
there
they give you
looking down her glasses with her big double chins out, going,
well, you get the attractive, I suppose, the sort of
"Oh, you get
conventional,
some, did he get some
sensible.
attractive ones? Good on Jay."
Um, no, but I was thinking of the dating websites and the kind of profiles. It's like I love holidays abroad, dining out in the theatre, and the man is saying I would like a homely woman who enjoys cooking and cleaning. Because I had this bloke who said that I can't afford these women who like dining out and going on holidays
Yeah,
abroad and
for real,
traveling and
for
shit.
real, for real.
So
I
so
mean,
I
you get women on these dating apps. I've never used them, but I've seen the results. And you get women on these dating apps who've got like 3 kids in there, and in their pitch, on their thing, it says, I'm coming with my 3 kids, so you better have your wallet handy. We like eating out at so and so.
oh I mean that's so I mean it'd be fun to go through these profiles, right? Just go through them and comment on fancy that avoid. Um, yeah, I think that could be maybe instructive. I think about
But
what people actually expect.
any woman on a dating app just gets her inbox inundated with guys. Any woman.
Yeah, I know. Actually, I had a girlfriend who, she was actually attractive. I took a nice picture of her, and then she got 1,000 views on her Match.com profile.
There you
But
go.
she was fuming because it's like they didn't even read what I said because I could tell just from what they said that they didn't read my profile. They just liked the picture.
Yeah, a girl doesn't even have to have a pretty picture. Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah. I had a trolling buddy, and um, and I said, what, if you pretended to be a woman, you could, maybe get away with more. Why are you looking like a skinhead? And he said, no, no, even if I'm a really ugly woman, I keep getting pestered by all those men who think that because I'm so ugly, I'll put out, more quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. This is obviously the problem, the hypergamy of women. Women now get the choice because a big fat elderly woman can put on a profile and say I'm a big fat elderly woman with no money, looking for a big fat elderly woman with no money. I'm a gold digger, and I'm looking for somebody to pay for me, and she'll get loads of guys in her inbox straight away.
Really?
Yes.
But I suppose, it's up to men to actually say, this is what we want. Is it unreasonable? I think a good chat up line would be, I'm I'm not interested in having sex with immoral women. Do you think that might be a good, could be
No,
a
that
good?
would suck. That would suck so bad.
No, 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 because it's like, oh, are you calling me immoral? Maybe. It'll get engagement. Have you not met? Have you not met a female YouTuber who kind of likes the sound of you?
Um, I don't think so.
Oh,
I wouldn't want to meet up with somebody off the internet, though, through YouTube. I don't think
because you
because the
think they're
risk
probably
of
easy ladies.
no, it's that so far I've managed to maintain my pseudonymity doing this,
Hmm.
and I can imagine meet up with a girl. It's inevitably obviously like I don't know the last
You're doxing yourself.
25 yeah the last 25 relationships I've tried haven't worked out. So this one, there's like an almost certain chance this one won't, and then she has all the power to just go ahead and dox me. So I'd rather just keep like what I'm doing on the internet private until I can trust somebody.
Has have women kind of said, you know, made overtures to you?
Do women
They
make
like
overtures to me?
they like the cut of your jib and your views and stuff.
Do women like my views? I don't think I generally don't attract girls for my views. No, they
I
want
suppose
one
I think
thing.
if people, if some woman is attracted to you just from, your YouTube channel, if she's genuinely attracted to you, it would be kind of more reassuring, right? Than, she really likes me. She likes, what I talk about, and she thinks I'm witty and wise and blah blah.
Um, sure. Anyway, I'm not here to find a girlfriend, so I'm not here to date. That's not what I thought we were talking about philosophy or something.
Well, the philosophy is, well, I think philosophy is just sort of being wise, right? So recently I was just thinking about, instead of an intelligence quotient, it should be a wisdom quotient, because, well, smart people can be very stupid, in my view.
Yes, what were you saying about that space that Vincent's on? Everybody's stupid on there. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it wasn't okay. They were just asking the usual basic questions like, verse no, chapter 9, verse 21. Kill all the non-Muslims, and isn't that it's just so basic. I could stand it anymore. But um, well, we can
Yeah,
talk. Yeah,
let's tune in, see what they're saying.
all right.
Quran is, bro. You don't believe in any hadith. What are you
No,
talking
no.
about?
I believe in some hadiths actually, if they don't contradict
That's
Quran.
irrelevant. That's irrelevant because what you do, yeah, you take the hadith that you like,
No,
yeah,
not what
and
I
the one
like. What
you
the
don't like,
Quran and Allah
the
likes.
one that you
No, no,
don't
no.
like,
Not what I
you
like.
say,
Not what I like. But
Uh,
same way of the
uh,
Yes,
I
Vincent.
tuned into that space that you were on yesterday for a brief period. You know, you sent me the timestamp of you have disagreeing with that woman, and you said to them, didn't you? We're talking to a pair of Hasbara agents here, Vincent.
Hmm.
And there was no response from her. Did you notice?
Well, I don't think it's a very good way of getting the message through, because it's like I just asked you a question and you're talking about a
Mm,
completely different subject, but I know it's sort of part of your repertoire. You say
yeah.
this about Christians, you say that about Muslims, you say the same thing about it's sort of like a rotation of subjects. And I don't think that's particularly clever. And it's like, well, if you're going to insult them all the time, these Christians and Muslims, you're not going to get very far. Because, I mean, her theme was, oh, you're stealing from us. You stole from our book. You don't have an original thought in your head, you know. And if only you just leave us alone. But then you wouldn't have any Christianity or Islam, would you, Goy?
She is definitely a Hasbara agent of some kind. She is attached. She admitted to working. Her words were that she works with that guy who he calls himself the Messiah or something.
Yeah, I think they kind of work in pairs. But the Muslims
Yes.
do that too. And I guess in a
Right.
way it would make sense. The
Yeah.
one you spoke to.
Yes. But I think that Israeli woman who now basically is Vincent's handler because she appears whenever he puts Jews in the space title and comes on and just deflects every single talking point. I think they're probably like literally, I don't know, Unit 8. Have you heard of that Unit 8200, that Israeli intelligence
No, what's
outfit
that?
for the internet? Unit 8200. Look it up. It's an Israeli intelligence corps of the IDF. They basically do online shit, signals intelligence. Basically, I think like their version of GCHQ or whatever. But that we know that like Israelis are proactive about like pushing the Israeli message and interfering in online groups and attempting to manipulate the message. So I think that's definitely what you're dealing with there. She's quite masterful at it too. Like to sit there for 4 hours and just like deflect all the talking points, and she has her friend there, the guy that she says I work with him. They tag team and just divert the question. They win when they've diverted the question from like I don't know, questioning Jews to like what the intricacies of what Jews do, and a pair of Jews then arguing together. Notice how they turn each space like into like a pair of Jews just arguing about intra-Jew stuff. It's quite
Yeah,
masterful, actually.
but the thing is, it doesn't make Gentiles like them more, right? Or, and I do
I don't
think,
think they care about that as long as like the Israeli cause isn't being trashed on Twitter. That's all they care about.
I mean, they're not that knowledgeable about, the religious stuff. Um, and one of the questions Vincent was asking was, is communism Jewish? And it's like, what's the point of the question? And the thing was, actually, Vincent was being kind of pro pro
Mm.
Jew in saying that, just because somebody misbehaving is a Jew doesn't mean that, um, communism is Jewish. And I mean, what is the final test about it? I suppose it's whether Marx himself would call communism Jewish. But I imagine since he's atheist, like, well, he's saying no, I reject Judaism, so I wouldn't want to call Marxism Jewish. But then people say, but it is Jewish because you're Jewish, and yeah, I guess the question is up in the air. But I think it is these category errors that confuse everyone because ultimately it's like, well, who is a Jew? And it's still confusing because they don't really know themselves. They don't really know.
It depends what the charge is. So if they're being blamed for something, they simply seek to, you know, deflect the blame somewhere else. So what is the charge that I know ethnic Jews this or religious Jews that? Well, then we're going to deflect the accusation away at any cost because Jews never did nothing, and it's all you. Jealous guys basically, or anti-Semites, or this, that, and the other. That's the whole strategy.
Yeah. There was this conversation when one of the Hasbara agents was saying, I don't agree with sodomy, and then Vincent went up about the no-hide laws, and then he said, oh, but one of the family member is gay. I wouldn't want him to get hurt. But what about the no-hide laws? It's like, oh, don't worry about it. And Vincent was sort of saying, that's what you always say. But then Vincent's motivations are in a way unclear. I mean, the way he talks about it sounds like he wants it to happen, right?
Well, Vincent is as much of a conflicted character as anybody. I wouldn't be surprised if Vincent did a 23andMe test and it turned out he was like a quarter Jewish anyway. I mean, this could this could explain his neuroticism.
I think it's really his background, because
he thinks he's Italian. He thinks he's Italian. This is often a mistake that people make, isn't it, in their genetic history?
What does it mean to be Italian?
Well, because what am I trying to say? Lots of Jews have disguised like heritage for Italian heritage because you can be a bit swarthy, Italian looking, and like be a Jew, blend in. So a lot of people have either their previous families or whatever pretended like Italian heritage when really it's Jewish heritage.
Oh, sort of looking slightly Mediterranean, that kind of thing.
Yes, yeah.
But I think it's a way of thinking. I would say, because there's some people who think you're not Jewish at all. How could you? You just don't talk and think like one. And then they'd say, "Oh, but how dare you tell us what we should be and shouldn't be?"
Either way, the Jewish superpower is that they're mixed with white people. This is what they don't get. This is why they should be this is why they should join the white cause, because the Ashkenazis are 80% European anyway, and so it's like this mixture of the Levantine DNA with the European DNA that gives them their bonus IQ points anyway, and so they're practically lots of them are blonde hair, blue eyes. Am I supposed to believe that these people aren't just Europeans effectively? It's very hard not to do that.
But people are confusing race and nationality. In that, you're stuck with your race, but you can lose your nationality.
Ethnicity, are you talking about, or what?
Well, ethnicity is a sort of subcategory of race, isn't it? because you're only Jewish if your mother is Jewish, and therefore, actually, Peter Hitchens is Jewish. Did you know that? Because his mother was a Jewess, but she didn't. He didn't realize that until after her death.
Yeah, so you have this complete categorical problem of, so like observant Jews will say you're only Jewish if your mother is Jewish, but then is David Jewish because his father wasn't Jewish? So is David Jewish? Yes or no? Well, even to like full Jews, he's only still a half Jew. He's always still going to be an outcast. But to somebody from the outside, well, he's Jewish obviously because he's like uber Jew, 200% Jew, super Jew, isn't he?
Well, he's only a half Jew because his father isn't Jewish. His father is
Yeah.
Christian and Scottish. So they, these Jews would be what's called Mishlings, right? Is it
Yes.
Mishlings? Oh no. There's even a worse word for it, Mamzer,
Yeah.
which is sort of you shouldn't have been born at all. You know.
Doesn't Mamza just mean bastard?
Well, it has connotations of that, but it sort of they don't like talking
Mishling
about it
means
because
half and half, doesn't it?
yeah. So, but Mamzer means you shouldn't have been born because you're a product of incest, adultery, or a mixed marriage. That kind of idea.
Yeah.
So I guess when they took their religion seriously, they were very harsh. And then if somebody, yeah, I remember talking to a rabbi, and he was talking about his grandmother, and she said that was his practice when Jews married out to hold a funeral for them.
So you have this group of people who are extremely tribal, have lived as minorities, in many areas oppressed minorities, have inculcated the idea of being a minority, the outsider. You look at Leonard Cohen, like one of his first songs that he sung is The Stranger. The Stranger. When Jews tell stories, it's often like Revenge of the Nerds, or the guy who was bullied, picked on, the one who comes from out of town and is shunned by the community, all this kind of stuff. So it's like deep within their blood. It's like their cultural, their memory. It's like their deep ingrained cultural memory is of being this out group, never fitting in to
The
society.
wandering Jew.
Yeah. And then you have these people who fall away in modernity from the religion. Who can blame them? Because it's all, it's kind of absurd. So they fall away from it. They become unbelievers. They then have this big issue in America, in Germany in the 1930s, which really inculcates this idea of you are an oppressed or under threat minority. They flee to America. And they begin telling these stories in Hollywood. Like, they have this story to tell. And many of them then, rebuild lives for themselves in politics and in power, and believe that that what they have to do is like good for the future generations in terms of instituting out of society, like the threats against the minority forever, this never again mentality. And so you have these groups of people who have fallen away from the religion but still inculcate this idea of advocating like for this kind of revolution. What is it Michael Jones call it? The revolutionary spirit.
Revolutionary spirit. That's what he
Yeah.
calls it.
It's being the agitating force in society. Oh my God, never again, we're under threat. We need to help the minorities. Oh, you big bad oppressors. Oh my God, look at all your institutions. We need to tear down this oppressive society. We need to make it fair. God forbid, oy vey. All this is in like the atheistic Jewish community now that are.
Yeah, I think But I've heard a rabbi say that Jews just take on the flavor of the society that they reside in. So if they live in a secular society, they will take on secular characteristics. And, and I think a lot of the power that they have are actually conferred on them by
Well,
Gentiles.
America wasn't a secular society, though. America, is one of these strange places that remained very religious, particularly post Second World War. American Christianity, and especially like through the 80s. I mean, it's kind of crazy that they went through through the swinging, through the 50s, rock and roll, swinging 60s, revolt. The youth revolts, the liberation, and but still, America maintained like this deep commitment to Christianity, much more so than European countries, which fell away. So, but
Because they had a
so
different experience of Christianity to the old world. Because I guess, here, it was forced down your throats. But in America, it's part of, home and tradition and that kind of thing. Because, I mean, maybe a lot of people don't realize it, but in a lot of countries, when you have a child, it's just assumed to be the religion of your king. So your child is assumed to be a Lutheran, if you're Dutch or German or whatever, and you have to kind of opt out of it, and even now there's some arrangements. I'm not quite clear about the detail, but you want to opt in because of, I don't know, funerals, and it's just cheaper to remain in, paid up as a member of the Lutheran Church than to opt out. I can't remember the reasons, but that's how the Germans roll. They have the option of opting out, but most of them don't because, I don't know, the financial incentives are too irresistible or something.
have you
But in
seen
fact, they
these?
don't in it anyway.
Have you seen these like super churches that they go to in places like Texas?
Um,
There's this one. There's this
there
one
are a
family
few in
that
the UK as well, which have they've
there's
kind of
this.
turned into a nightclub. The Brompton,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
I actually did go to one with a girlfriend of mine, and it's like, bloody hell, they've turned it into a nightclub. Who
Yeah.
dare they?
Big screens at the front, and every few, like, they'll maybe have a guy read for 5 minutes, like some kind of allegory, a story, and then it's like singing and guitars and praise the Lord, and and everybody gets up there with their hands waving, and they've got the the boom boxes out, and
Yeah, I mean,
it's
we may
crazy.
laugh, but actually, this sort of thing has been going back to the times of Monteverdi and Bach and Handel, because obviously, their music was a rock music of their time. So, it was always about, I guess, bumps on pews. And it's like, well, we're going to make them come here, so we better make them want to come here because um, I I went to Copenhagen Museum and I saw this instrument of punishment for people who didn't go to church. That was how bad it was. And a beheading sword when Denmark was still a absolute monarchy. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that there was a time when you people didn't have a choice. You just had to be Christian or else.
Sure, sure, yeah, sure. It's
Well, Ed
hard to
Dutton said the
believe.
same thing. He said
I
his ancestors were fined for not going to church.
Who said that?
Ed Dutton.
Interesting. Yeah, he's a weird guy. It doesn't.
Well, he's a bit tortured. I
He's
think he was meant to become a vicar because he did theology at Durham, and then he
Yeah, but
did
he didn't
anthropology
believe.
afterwards.
Yeah, but he was an atheist when he went and did that theology degree. I mean, how weird is that?
Yeah, I knew somebody who did a theology course as an atheist, and I thought, what was the point of that? But I guess it's quite an
Yeah,
interesting subject, maybe, if you want to
super
argue with
weird.
people. Well, I think a lot of the theological arguments, political, I keep going on. Okay, Anjan Chowdhury was sentenced to 28 years in prison for giving theology lectures online. And I think, that was basically it. That wasn't
Well, we're
allowed.
going to disagree on that. We're going to disagree on that. He was
No,
effectively radicalized his preaching, and he continued a banned organization and just under another name.
no, I'm saying that for the Muslims, it's a very hot potato issue about whether the Gulf kingdoms are halal. And a lot of people are saying, no, it's not halal. We're not supposed to be kings. And also that this is also an issue in the Torah, sorry, in the Old Testament, because in the book of Samuel, there's a story of the Jews saying, "Oh God, please give us a king just like the Gentiles because it's so cool," and God was saying, "Are you sure?" And the Jews said, "Yes, yes, yes." So he gave them their king, but he wasn't happy about it.
Yes,
That's
but
how the
what?
story goes.
Yes, but what is the Ayatollah Khamenei if not a king by any other name?
Okay. The Ayatollah, the supreme leader of Iran, is not meant to bequeath his position to his
He's gonna
son.
do though, isn't he? I think his
Oh,
son
well,
is
we don't
lined up
really.
to be his successor.
Well, it's possible, but that's not what's meant to happen. And we know what happened to, the English Republic when, after Cromwell died, he was thinking, well, who am I going to bequeath my position as Lord Protector to, if not my son? And then the English said, well, fuck it, we're going to have a proper king, not your
Yeah,
stupid son. Well, that was what happened.
yeah.
So I think it's actually very much a political hot potato because the
Someone was
Sunni.
talking. Sorry, someone was talking about that the other day. I mean, I really don't know anything about the English Civil War, and I really should find out about it because I remember. I don't know who it was now, but they were talking about it, and apparently, I mean, maybe this is just like wigging at conspiracy theories again, but apparently that was the Jews too who
Well,
funded
Cromwell
Cromwell.
invited the Jews back in. So the Jews were expelled in 1290, and then were invited by Cromwell because he wanted to borrow money from them because he wanted to invade Ireland, didn't he? That was the
Yeah, I
reason
just
why he
don't
invited
know
them
much
back
about this
in.
period of history, but yeah, according to the Wignats, that was the Jews too. They overthrew our king. They basically the English Civil War was started by the Jews.
No, it was about shit money. With okay, but this is my memory of it, that he asked for shit money, and everybody was saying, oh, you didn't ask Parliament, oh, you can't just impose taxes on us. And then there was the long Parliament, the short Parliament, the rump Parliament, whatever. And it was basically the barons saying, hey, you can't just tax us. And, you know, um, and also, oh yeah, they didn't like him because his wife was Catholic, and obviously being Catholic was a big thing.
Joel Kemp asks, "Is this live?" No, it's not. We pre-recorded it.
It is live, yes, of course it's live. There are 5 people watching.
Wow.
Ricardo is here.
Oh, is he? Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yes, it is.
Shall we ask him to join us?
Sure, I don't think you will.
Oh, is he sort of okay? I don't know what the okay.
He's
What
a
password?
busy, he's a busy guy, in and
Right.
out, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry I'm not very excitable tonight, Claire. I've just
No, we
pooped,
can.
basically.
Yes, we can have a kind of wander through topics that it might be useful to discuss to give nationalism something more than just whinging about the Jews and complaining about the Muslims. History is always a good topic.
Yeah.
Particularly when World War II is now so controversial, right?
Holy shit, you're right about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, imagine not being allowed to discuss World War II as one of your bail conditions. I know a woman who was forbidden to discuss World War II on social media as part of her bail conditions.
Oh, you mean, what's her face?
Alison Chapo.
Alison.
Yeah, it was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
You can't discuss World War II on social media.
Yes, but as part bail agreements are a contract that you agree to, so they can basically impose any conditions they want to you, and you agree to it because you want your freedom, and so you're signing a contract. And then if you break that contract, then you've agreed to like the
You go to
repercussions of
prison.
going in. Yes, so they've got you over the barrel. They can get you over anything. They can make the most ridiculous things of you, on you. Like, yeah, every day, as part of your bail condition, you have to stand on one leg in your garden, and rub your head and pat your stomach for an hour.
I suppose. I think that they call something like that because they have
An
sort of more.
antisocial behaviour order. That
Yes,
is.
yes. Oh, yes, I remember. There was somebody who would go into a Holborn pub and do the Roman salute. And he was basically forbidden from doing that. And if he did that, he would, go. And he did. And he went back to jail. But it would only apply to him, right? So it's not illegal for other people to do it, but it was illegal for him to do it, kind of thing. And I think another one was you can't cross over the road or something ridiculous like that. But yeah,
Robert Cobb has just messaged me on Twitter and asked, "How is Claire live with you on YouTube and in a space at the same time?" Because she's not. Are you still in that space on
no,
Twitter?
perhaps he'll join us. I'll send him the. I wonder what time it is now, where he
Oh, God.
is. Um,
God, I hope he's sobered up.
well, he's always drunk anyway.
It's like, I know he won't be. It's like 7, 8, almost 8 a.m. in Sydney.
Oh, good. So he should still be relatively sober. I will send him the link. Are you AI? He's asking me. I don't know why he's asking me that. Oh, yeah, he's asking me the same question. So I've sent him the
Yeah.
link. Come join us. Yes, it'll be nice to introduce him to the others. I think he has a YouTube channel.
Who does Robert?
Yeah, he says he does. Or
Does
some.
he?
Well, not an active one, I don't think. But you know, I mean, I didn't know I had a proper YouTube channel. I just opened an account in order to post on other people's channels, and then I thought, oh, yeah, I can. I didn't know I could use it properly until I decided to.
Hey, and it just occurs to me, you've managed to keep this one since, what we can't talk about,
Yes, yes,
which is good, a good sign. Are
yes.
you glad? Are you glad now that you have this channel.
Oh yes, yes. I mean, it's good to maintain a presence because YouTube is basically the most interactive and
And you can now
searchable.
use this channel to comment on other people's videos
Yeah,
and
yeah. I
respond to
could.
your own comments.
Yes, yes. It was so frustrating. Everybody,
Finally.
sending me rude comments, and I couldn't. Well, actually, I could using the other, but it was just too much trouble. I
Yeah.
didn't bother in the end. Yes, I did know that Robert liked his drink the first time I spoke to him. I do have a sixth sense of these things, but um, but I
I mean,
think
I
he
like
sort of
Robert.
makes
I
sense. I
like
like
Robert.
Rob. Yes.
Robert is a good guy. I mean, I get good vibes from him, absolutely. But I'll be brutally honest that like the very drunkenness sometimes is difficult. Is difficult to it's you're not putting your best self forward. I mean, if he doesn't care about that, that's absolutely fine. I mean, who am I to tell somebody what they should be doing? But
There are too many people with drug and drink issues
yeah.
in our circles and outside it, I would say.
The problem with alcohol for me, you see, is it's just to me it's just a retardant. It's not a people think it's like this liberator that like they're everybody gets the idea that they are I think they con themselves that they're better on it, that they're more open, that they're able to talk better, that they get along with people better or whatever. But to me, it just makes everybody more stupid, louder, more belligerent, and I don't
And more
ever
likely to get
go.
into trouble.
Yeah, I don't ever go away from it's like a situation where somebody's drunk, thinking, "Wow, they were much better." Wow, I'm much more impressed by that person tonight because they
Oh,
were
how witty,
drunk.
how funny. No.
Yeah, you never think that, do you? And I'm not having a go at Robert here. I'm talking in general, but
Yeah, I think Robert manages to, ask sensible questions and have
sure.
reasonably, yeah, yeah, good. I've had really good conversations with him, so I can't really complain. But I just think he would be even better. He'd be even better. And the thing is, he also has the courage to record his spaces, which I think is yeah, it's indicative of honesty. And I think
It's the same with weed, though. I mean, uh, weed makes people retarded too, except the difference is with like potheads. You can't kind of hear it. You can't like detect it immediately that what this person is stoned out of their mind. So you ending up with having to put a lot more patience into trying to figure out, is this person just like stupid, or is there something wrong with them? Do you remember when that woman came on a space who you knew from a while back, and she was like trying to ask somebody, look, just tell me, are you on drugs or is there something wrong with you? I don't mind, I'm not judging, I just want to kind of figure it out.
Natty, yes,
Yeah.
she said that. She
And
said
I
that, Robert. Yes.
and I empathize with that position
Yes, she can be a
sometimes.
bit bossy.
She's a big feminist, isn't she?
Well, I think she was okay. The first time I met her, she was an MRA, so she was campaigning against feminism. But yeah, she's so bossy, and now she's an Orthodox Christian.
But
And
she's imbibed a lot of feminist ideas, so she might think that she's an MRA. But like, if you dare say something like, Oh my god, what's something that she. What's.
The
What was
Lucy
something.
Letby thing. So she clashed again with Robert Cobb when we were discussing Lucy Letby, and Robert was saying because she's single, it's a red flag that she might have
Yes.
deliberately killed those infants,
Yeah,
and
and she
it's
pounced on
not.
him for saying that. It's
Yeah.
not a red flag. And I thought, wow, that is your feminist. Feminism is like just boiling up out of you there. You could see there was a raging feminist inside her, couldn't you, in that moment?
If you listen to her spaces, she literally will talk over you until you say what she wants you to say, and then she'll let you talk. Say after me that da, 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 da.
And
She's
when she
that.
looked at my username, she looked at my username on Twitter and went, "Your username is Musk Maximalist. So, are you impressed by what Elon Musk is doing then, and with his like toxic masculinity?" I'm like, "Oh my fucking god, love."
Well, I like Elon. I'm glad he's around and saying and doing roughly the right things. Yeah, just so bossy. And the thing is, she basically fights everyone, and I thought it must be exhausting to keep fighting everyone and insisting people, say after you the words you want them to say. And yeah, so she treats people like her homeschool children, or you get the impression that she does. So yeah, not a good listener. But I guess she could be one of the more interesting characters. I mean, a lot of women go to, kind of follow her around. So I guess if anybody's interested in meeting women, but she gets
Yeah.
drunk too, because I did hear her late one night.
Oh really?
Yeah. So I mean, her spaces are pretty undisciplined in my view. You know,
Well, I've not followed her, but what is her message then? What
I don't know
what is
because
she doing?
okay, she just wants Orthodox Christianity, and I just sort of said it's a kind of dead end because in this country because of the monarchy, the monarchy has to be Anglican, so that there's no possibility that Orthodox Christianity is ever going to take off and changed any laws. You're just going to a longer church service, and you're only doing it because you like the idea of Putin's Christianity, and it
Yeah.
won't actually change your life. And the same applies to these Americans. Are you crazy? Do you think going to a different church on Sunday is going to improve your government? And it's like you can't even tell them; they don't get it. So she basically clashed with Andrew Wilson, who runs a channel called the Crucible. So he's quite good at debating, but he's very
Oh, I
rude
can't
and
stand him.
you know him,
Yeah, I can't bear him.
yeah.
He denies race. This is the problem with these people. So I consider him to be like one of these orthodox bro grifters, because the moment that you like bring up, well, is it all right then, to, would you replace, would you be happy with your like entire community just being replaced by Africans if they became if they converted to Orthodox? And he's like, yep, 100%. And you're like, oh, fuck off then, dude.
But Stephen, don't you think that whatever race you are, race cannot be your religion? You have to find a moral system.
That's not the point
No,
of the
the
question.
point
Even
is
you,
you can't just sort of say you're white, I'm white. Oh, let's go and
yeah, but
you can't. It's
yes,
not
but
enough.
I get it. But even you would accept that there's something, untenably lost if, like, your entire community is replaced with Africans, just so long as they have, different. If they subscribe to it, even if it's secular Quranism that they all agree to, to abide by. You yourself would I think, unless I'm mistaken, at least you would agree there is something fundamentally lost by that replacement, wouldn't you?
Well, the extinction of a race, which is why
Yeah.
you have
Well,
to
he
make some
denies that
very
race exists.
keen, no. I mean, E. Michael Jones does the same thing, but he actually said there is a reason for this, and he told it to Jared Taylor, who's going on about race, but he can only talk about low IQ blacks, right? Jared Taylor can only talk about low IQ blacks, and E. Michael Jones said to him, "Look, if you call yourself a white nationalist, you have no rights." But we Catholics still have some rights. So calling yourself a white nationalist is a very status lowering thing to say, and that is why we have this thing called Christian nationalism. It's basically the smarter kind of white nationalists realizing that if they call themselves white nationalists, they're not going to get anywhere. So that's the step over from that white nationalism into Christian nationalism. I don't know why there is such a long silence.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
So I just want to show you something. Well, I pulled up this. This is that church that I said I was watching. Just happened to see these are people in Texas. I don't know how I was watching their channel, and so they go to here. Here is like a Texas church. I mean, what is this? How is this anything to do with
With God.
with the Bible or God or Christianity? You're just going to a concert, aren't you?
It's a sing along. But then so
Yeah.
it's the traditional hymn, which I think is more fun.
And then you'll get somebody give like, I don't know, talk about
setting our thoughts on the realities of heaven.
and then another song. This is completely different to what we think of as church over here. I mean, oh my god, this is like nothing like it. And they're huge. They're like, I guess this is like a mega church. You know, they have like a coffee shop in the front, and oh my god.
Well, and they take ages, right? I mean that's the problem with these sort of Christianity. Well, it's like, yes, there's a socializing and after the singing and the whatever, and it's like, what's the point if the laws are wrong? And I mean, a lot of people go to church in order to find somebody, right? They think it's some kind of dating, unofficial dating.
Yeah,
And
but you
and
can't
people,
do that here because the average age is, well, it's probably like a 90 now.
yeah, like Rouge. Did you take an interest in Rouge?
Roosh V, yeah.
Yes. So I thought he was quite charismatic, and but he was good looking and charismatic and intelligent, and really they they beat the crap out of him in the end, and now he's a broken man going to the Orthodox Church of his mother, with this sort of incel beard, hobo beard,
Yeah,
and
he's a weird character. You know his backstory, don't you? That he was like one of the main people of the Manosphere. He wrote the book Game, basically how
yes,
to go and
and
pick up women.
bang,
Bang,
bang, Iceland, bang, all these other
bang
countries.
Istanbul, yeah,
Yeah.
or whatever. So his claim was that he was like this guy who could just get women into bed, hundreds of women, through what is effectively psychological manipulation of women, and
Oh no no!
then all.
One of the things he said is don't go early, go late, because they'll that's when you get the easy pickings.
Yeah. Oh, you mean like to a nightclub or a pub?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, but all that stuff was basically pre-dating apps. So, kind of when the dating apps came out, all of like the Manosphere stuff, the game stuff, much of it became redundant really, because people don't, very few people go. They're not going out, and people aren't going and meeting each other in bars and clubs anymore. And plus, anyway, it was such a degenerate thing. This idea of just going out to bang.
Yeah.
But
But then
anyway, I was always suspicious about him anyway. I mean, for all we know, he could just be an incel who lived at home with his mother until like in his mid-40s. I mean, is there any evidence that he actually had sex with any of these women? I don't even think there is. He could have just been a complete liar.
well, I can believe that he probably did persuade quite a few, in his prime. Um, and
Possibly.
what was I going to say? I've forgotten now. Oh yes, he tried to organise these men's meetings all over the world. I don't know if you knew he was trying to do that, and he's saying, don't, it's got to be all male, and and he was going to visit all these cities all around the world, and that was when they came after him,
Huh.
and so I think, and also they Stefan Molyneux kind of lost his account after he went down under with what's her name, Lauren Southern.
Lawrence Southern.
Yes, because I think that was when people thought, that's going to be really dangerous because he's going to rile them up and then they'll overthrow us or something like that. And that was when he lost his account, his YouTube account, and now he only
Yes.
gives relationship advice.
Yes. I think Stefan Molyneux doesn't really care. I think he became rich through Bitcoin, actually. And so he kind of just didn't. Yes, of course, he wouldn't have wanted to lose that channel, but I think he just didn't care, really. Oh, like, it didn't ruin his life.
I mean, I was following him for a bit, but, because I was interested. It's like, wow, you have the biggest YouTube channel, and then it's all reduced to nothing. And he was just going on about, well, why are people like this? It's sort of like people would visit you, in your home, and they love you and worship you, and then you had to move home, and it's only a few houses along the same road, but they won't even do that.
What
And
you
it's
mean,
true.
find him in
It's like
his.
it's just a few clicks, on a different website, and they still wouldn't
Yeah.
see it. Yeah. So he was quite cut up about it, I thought.
Well, maybe. I suppose it's bad to lose your stuff. Does he have a channel somewhere else where he streams?
Yeah, he's on LinkedIn, and I think it's locals.
Oh,
Yeah,
local. So he went behind a paywall. So it's his own fault if he's behind a paywall.
no, is it locals or not? Yeah, it's some sort of pay. He's on Rumble, I think, but yeah, he's just so annoying anyway. All this sort of acting, and I don't know. but
It's
now
psychology. I hate psychology too. Don't you hate psychoanalysis?
well, I think I do it a lot. I
I
do
hate it.
psycho. I'm sure you do it to other people. When you try to work them out, like, what? Why are they like that?
I suppose I do. I suppose we all do it, but
It's to predict their behavior and manipulate them into, you know, doing
it's when
stuff.
people come up with like wacky ideas. I mean, the famous one is like Freud. Well, you listen to somebody's problems and then go, well, you must want to fuck your mother. And you're like, what? No.
So Freud went on about the id, the ego, and the superego. And I suppose it's possible that a lot of people are thinking about sex without really acknowledging that they're thinking about sex. Maybe because I notice that there's a lot of people
Wait, from
who,
my understanding, Freud is completely discredited. I think in psychology today, they accept it's completely discredited. There was no empirical evidence for anything that he came up with. He basically got selective patients on, and just made it up, made these theories up, and, you know,
yeah, but the point is, we're here because obviously talking about whatever's on our mind with people who share, our views or interests is therapeutic, because I think we'd get pretty upset if suddenly social media platforms are completely withdrawn from us. And Freud was really doing this talking cure. It's like, well, you're listening to somebody who's been paid to listen to you professionally, who's supposed to solve your problems and take notes and take you seriously, and you know, and maybe all it takes is, well, I'm paying him so much money, I better kill myself ASAP.
Luke Ford loves psychoanalysis, and I consider it it's like Jewish science in a way.
Well, it's a talking cure, isn't it?
For me, it's feminized to hell as this kind of talking therapy. Yeah, and the last thing that I want to do is talk. If I have problem, for me as a man, if I have like serious problems, the last thing that I want to do is talk it through with somebody. It's like the most feminine response ever to me. Women need to talk through their problems. Men need to act and solve them. Talking about them doesn't do any good.
Well, politics is a lot of talking because the ideas are so nebulous and the
Politics
opinions
is
so
about
diverse.
attempting to encourage others to act. That's what it's all about. You're attempting to change people's actions.
Yeah, so you need to do you need to do a lot of talking, and you need to do a lot of listening to get people
Sure,
to.
sure. You're convincing others to act at the end of the day. That's different to listen. Let me listen to your problems. And how does that make you feel? And if you were to, this is all these people do. And how does it make you feel? And if you were to ask yourself why you feel like that, what would you say? What would the answer be? And you're like, holy fuck. Get fucked, love. Did I tell you when I went for my ADHD assessment before I can have the assessment? The first question was, what are your pronouns?
Did you just give them a straight answer, or do you say, do we have to do
I,
this?
no, I was taken aback, and I I nearly laughed out loud, but I said he him.
Him. It,
Oh my
they.
god! I can imagine though the look on my face must have been because I was not expecting it. So She did kind of scowl back at me.
Isn't it obvious?
I mean, it's crazy, isn't it?
No, because
This
the
is the
old-fashioned...
person.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just going to say this is the person who's supposedly then going to psychoanalyze you, and they can't even work out if you're a man or not.
No, I suppose if you were being difficult, it's like we have to ask you this question, because we're required to, and this is the new regime. But I guess in the olden days it would be, it's like somebody saw you as a miss and they'd call you a miss. If they think you were a mister or a sir, they'd call you that. And that was sort of pronoun enough, or, well, titular, I suppose. We need to be told whether we're young ladies or madams or sirs or whatever. And maybe sometimes it's a bit of a surprise, because yes, I remember this friend. I think in France they're more formal, so it would be, if you're a certain age, you'd be addressed as mademoiselle, when you go into shops, and
Yeah.
after, then it become madame, and it might be a bit of a shock to the woman in question.
Yeah, you know the way that I took it, this question of what are your pronouns, it was because it's like the very first question you go. Effectively, I'm going there to seek to try the medication for ADHD eventually. This is what I'm going for. They know this, I know this. There's a system that has, there's a system that you have to go through. And I know that I have to go there and and even if my symptoms are different, I have to give them a select list of symptoms to meet the criteria, to get accepted, blah, blah, blah. So I took it as that this question is effectively, are you willing to acquiesce? Are you willing to abide by the system? Are you somebody that's willing to play the game, or are you going to be difficult? And in that moment, I thought, no, I'm not. I'm here to get something, and I have to submit to you. I have to submit to your system, and so basically, what you're asking me is, do you submit? And I answered, yes, I submit, with he, him. Rather than saying, rather than objecting to the question, on political grounds, in being difficult. The question is, do you submit? Yes, I do.
Yes. But what is it you want? What is this medication supposed to do for you? Are you looking
Well, I
for
don't know. I'm just,
medication?
yeah. It's effective. I mean,
I think
scarily, it's effectively meth at the end of the day that they give you, but I assume in a very low dosage. And according to, it's not just Luke Ford, but I mean, I can't deny it's been an influence upon me. He says that, it's radically improved his life.
Well, I
I've read
suppose he
into
has
it a
to
lot.
say that. I mean, I haven't noticed anything particularly different. Have you? I mean, in the quality of his
Well,
streams.
actually, I mean, we shouldn't necessarily look at his streams, but actually, they are different. If you look closely, he used to start the stream and go from topic to topic to topic to topic to topic, and there was no thread knitting the whole thing together whatsoever. He doesn't really do that anymore. He has
Or the
a
switches
main.
would not be so abrupt and frequent, maybe.
He now has a main topic, and he'll explore that through different things. So he'll come on, I don't know, it's Kamala Harris, a wine ant or something. He intellectualizes the title or something more, but so one of them was is Kamala Harris basically a drunk and on Xanax, and then he'll go the show content will be looking at the various people's content that he subscribes to addressing the question of Kamala Harris, and like that Mark Halprin guy, their show that he does, and then he'll something from the fucking New York Times, and then something from Fox News, but it'll all be kind of on the same theme now. So, and that is quite a difference.
But because
So
he
maybe
has
it's done
better
something.
titles now, I
Yeah.
think, having a good title focuses your mind. Because then, if you forget what you're talking about, you just look at the title and you go back to it, right?
Yeah, but it used to just be, like an assortment of subjects. Like you'd, I don't know, picked up, I don't know, a handful of marbles out of a bag, and we're just, like choosing them at random.
Yes, I think, but it might have happened without the Adderall. I mean, we also
Possibly.
know that Vincent had a bit of treatment, didn't he? But I don't see
Yeah,
any permanent
ketamine.
change. Yes.
I think he was just robbed. I think that was a total joke, to be honest. But that's for depression. That's something completely different.
Is it?
I
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not depressed.
doesn't Luke also complain about depression? I mean, I
Well,
think
well, maybe he does. Maybe he does. I think he
Mhm.
might be taking an antidepressant as well. But this is like Luke's thing. He's like, I mean, he takes all the supplements. Basically, Luke Ford is rattling. If you picked him up and shook him, you'd hear him rattle. From all the different things that he takes. But that doesn't necessarily negate the idea. Maybe that should make me more suspicious about, like, allowing him to influence me towards taking ADHD meds. But I am clinically ADHD, for one. I was diagnosed as a child. I was treated like it as a child. I mean, it's easy for everybody to say ADHD doesn't exist or whatever, but d- d- I mean, I was the kid who in the class, they had a spare like room at the back of the class, and it was like, for God's sake, let's get Stephen, into this classroom on his own, for God's sake, so he's not distracted and looking out the window and shouting out and and all this kind of stuff constantly. And so I was always treated like the ADHD kid.
Well, it seems to be a phase that you have, passed over, undergone, come through.
I definitely got much better, but many of the symptoms still persist, and one of the main symptoms is not being unsuccessful in life, basically. Like, maybe I would have ended up successful. I suppose it's never possible that I could have been medicated and been and done my sporting career and therefore been successful at that. That's just not possible because the drugs are performance enhancing drugs, so I could never have done the two at the same time. But maybe without ADHD, I could have been successful because, like, one of the main reasons why basically I didn't progress, properly into the pro circuit of fighting is because when COVID hit, like everything, the whole plan of where it's at, I can't really dox myself, but because it became much more complicated of what I had to do, and like gyms were shut and everything, then I failed at adapting.
But maybe another career beckons. Maybe you should have gone to
No, I doubt it.
university, that
It's too
kind of
late for
thing.
me now. Yeah, it's too late to go
Okay,
back to school.
yeah. So, but you could still think of something more. Well, have you
Not
considered
really.
your future career?
It doesn't look good. Does not
Some
look
sort of
good.
business?
Ugh. Well, maybe if I get medicated and then I can like focus on things, and because the problem with ADHD is doing something that is dull or boring or that takes effort, effort to change. So like right now, to focus on something, like the typical thing is, people will like I've luckily never managed to do it, end up like in debt, but like an ADHD person will end up usually like in ridiculous amounts of debts or arrears, simply because, not because they don't want to pay them, but because like the the dull mundane process of keeping up with these things is something that they elect not to do for some reason. You put your head into the sand and allow everything to just build up, and 3 years later, the bailiffs are coming and knocking, putting your door through because you've ignored all these things. This is like a typical scenario of an ADHD person.
Oh, like that Gemma,
Who's that?
Brit girl.
Brit girl. No,
The,
she's
the one that,
bipolar.
that Gazelle was interviewing, if you remember her.
She's bipolar. That's like a crazy girl, BPD girl.
But what you said about, oh, she, didn't manage affairs properly, that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, she's probably ADHD as well. Yeah, she's probably ADHD as well. Yeah. So you'll leave things outstanding. You won't pay bills. You won't do. You won't tick anything. Normal people have an ability to do mundane tasks because they're required, like for life. You have to do things. You have to, like, I don't know, pay your council tax. You have to go and do things. There are things that you just have to do, even though they're dull, boring. You don't want to have to do them. For ADHD, you just don't do these things, and you chronically don't do them. So, anyway, this is why I'll probably, like I say, just remain a lifeguard, until I'm 50,
But
because
do you?
I've got. Go on.
No, because I'm sure you have something like, I'd like to do this, other thing that isn't being a lifeguard. You must. Okay, I can imagine saying successful YouTuber, but apart from that, what else?
I don't know. I don't know. You see, I could never do a business because of all the mundane stuff that you have to do, like the paperwork, the filings, none of that would get done. It's like I'm trying to read this. I keep bringing it up. I'm trying to read this Winston Churchill book. That is simply something like I could spend. I would have had this book finished now if I'd have
If you
just
had
spent
been
10 minutes a day on it.
streaming,
No, if I'd have just spent 10 minutes a day on it, that's all it takes out of my life would be 10 minutes a day. That would be basically 1 or 15 minutes, one chapter a day, and the book would have been done. But instead it's been sat there now for 3 weeks on my desk, even though it was interesting. And here's the thing, I want to finish it, but I'm just not. And so this is like the story of ADHD.
well, you're not the only person who buys a book and doesn't finish it.
Yeah, but it's not just about books. So like this thing, I'm just saying that's like an obvious one. It's not just about books. So it can be many things. Things in the house. Here's another example. So I had that water issue, right? In my house.
Oh yeah, what happened? The shower, something pipe? I forget
Yeah,
now.
so I got the shower pump fixed. But I've not done anything to the ceiling yet. All the damage is still there. And I know I need to go and paint it. Okay,
Well, I
put
can
some plaster in
imagine
the holes.
these things being delayed easily because it's like, well, the ceiling's not going to fall down. I could stream with whoever, which is more
Sure, but
fun.
it's now been a couple of months.
Are you supposed to be doing it yourself, or is it just a matter of getting some people in to do it?
No, I'll do it myself. I'll do it myself. But it's just that, I can just not do it, and so it just remains undone. Basically, this is the problem, and I really will have to force myself into doing it. Anyway,
Yeah,
these are
but
bad examples. It's really hard to
no, no,
explain.
no. I'm just saying it's actually quite old. Lots of
Yeah,
people put off things they don't want to do, and it doesn't mean that they're ADHD, but but anyway, I mean, things have been written about procrastination. Procrastination is a thief of time.
yeah.
You
But
know,
I'd love not to have it. I'd love not to have it. I'd love to be much more eager to do things, and I'm told that this is what this drug does. This gives you.
you just need a wife to nag you to do shit. That's all you want.
Well,
Uh, uh,
maybe, but
yeah, we sort of rely on people even though we don't know it. It's like, we say things and then maybe somebody remembers, like, I thought you said you were going to go on holiday or do whatever. He's,
yeah. I mean,
but you see, you live alone, right? And I think
yeah,
maybe that it's kind of hard to get motivated if you live alone.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
that might. And then you kind of, there's nobody to nag you to do anything. So you know, I
yeah.
think,
I mean, without it sounds without like wanting to admit it, but I suppose we're like in a minimal audience here. Like there's been times when my mother comes around and like just does all my laundry for me, and she's like, "Holy shit, Stephen! You need to get your act together, and let's just get this, stuff done, and let me clean the house for you." And I'm like, "Oh my god!" I'm like a perpetual infant. It's like really infantilizing, and I'm like, "Yeah, I need to just like get my act together." And I hide all this very well from like public view. But these are I effectively what I'm trying to tell you is these are the things about myself that I'm not proud of, that I'm not happy about, and I would like to change and be different. And I don't think it's wrong. If I can try this stuff, obviously I don't have any problems with drugs. I'm not like a case is going to get addicted to a drug or something. I've no evidence of that in my life. Maybe this could be something that works for me, and if it's not, then I just won't use it.
well, I mean, all I can say is, from what I've noticed about, Luke and Vincent, it's like, yeah, you get this sort of, temporary feeling, oh, maybe I'm doing this new thing, maybe it'll work, whatever, when really we should have just got on with, the thing that everybody has been nagging us to do, that we ourselves have kind of
Yeah.
already know. But somebody just gives us an option that sounds slightly more attractive than actually doing the thing, and I know how easy it is to yeah,
Yeah.
so many distractions. When really maybe what we need is somebody standing over and us and saying, you have to do X today and Y tomorrow, or else.
Yes, and so short of that, you see, other people manage to lead successful lives though, and not end up with so many like undone things. So many, end up in, like it's the story of my career too. Why am I just like a lifeguard? Okay, why is that? People tell me I'm not stupid. So
Because you haven't
why
looked
is
hard enough. Maybe you're not mixing with the right kind of people. Because there's certain people who are not socially ambitious, and they're happy to bump along at the bottom with people they use. I don't know. I think you might be one of those.
Yeah, because things seem harder than what they should seem for somebody like me. So make It's so hard to explain anyway.
No, I suppose we should just, we should have a plan in our minds. We don't know if it's a good one, but it's sort of like, well, whatever we're doing, we're going to just do it to the best of our ability. And if it means um, trying to find the best people in the field, then that's what we must do as a matter of policy. And then, doing whatever to the fullest possible extent. I mean, I don't know if I'm doing it or not. I just know the theory. I don't know if I can do the practice. Maybe yeah, probably I'm not doing it properly.
Yeah, Mike in the chat says make lists. I do all this. I do all this
Yes, and
stuff.
then lose them.
I do all this, dude. I mean,
Hi, Mike.
Hey, how's
I might
everybody
go
doing?
get it. I might nip and grab a drink if I carrying on for a little bit.
Feeling guilty.
I got my
about
first drink of the
undone things.
weekend started here.
Yeah.
So I'm not even close to being pissed yet, but
What
inshallah,
is it you're
soon enough.
drinking? Is it beer?
This is vodka.
Vodka.
I can't drink any beer anymore. I got the gout a couple times. Beer is
What?
very bad for the gout. The purines.
Yes.
It's like
But you can't drink
gallstones.
white wine, can't you?
I don't know. I haven't looked into that. I'm not a big wine drinker.
Okay. I mean, I've heard that if you have gout, you can drink white, but not red.
Yes, I heard stay with the light liquors too, not the whiskey. I used to be a beer and whiskey guy. Now I've become a vodka guy.
Does it hurt? Does it hurt at the moment?
No. I don't have a flare up right now. I haven't had one for years. It was funny. I used to I get it in my left ankle. And I always heard you got gout in your big toe, but I guess it can be in any joint.
Yeah, or your elbow even.
Yeah, you can get it in your elbows, even your fingers. But a couple times man, I don't remember twisting my ankle, but it felt like I'd sprained my ankle, but it wasn't swollen or anything. But it wasn't that bad. A couple times, I just kind of limp around for a couple days. And then one time it was real bad. I woke up in the morning and I couldn't put any weight on my foot. So I hobbled to the car, went to the thrift store, bought some crutches, went to the urgent care, and the girl walks in. Well, I guess I shouldn't call her a girl. The doctor walks in. She bends down, she touches my ankle, and she goes, "Oh, you got the gout." I'm like, "Really? That's it?" And she's like, "Yeah, feel it." And you could feel heat coming off of it. She's like, "Yeah, that's gout." I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have drank that. She's like, "You drink beer, right?" And I got a beer belly. I'm like, "Obviously." And she's like, "Yeah, that's the worst thing you can do." And I'm like, so when I was at the bar and I had to put my foot up on the stool next to me, drinking 2 pitchers and ordering a shrimp basket probably wasn't the best idea, huh? Because I always heard you get it from shellfish as well.
Yes. I didn't know beer caused gout.
They said beer is very bad for it. So now I don't drink beer, hardly ever.
Do you consider smoking instead of drink? I think you're the second person I've asked this question of.
I've been thinking about eating gummies just for my sleep. I don't sleep that well anymore. That used to be like my superpower. I could fall asleep anywhere, sleep through the night, no problem. And although lately it's gotten better, I've lost about 50 pounds over the last year, so that's healthy. But I never smoked a lot of pot because, like, when I was in high school, the first time I smoked pot, I just fell asleep and I missed the whole party. And then I told people that, and they're like, "Oh no, this is the good stuff. This isn't that Mexican ditchweed. And this is like 80s, early 90s, not even like the stuff they have now. This, I remember when the hydroponic. Ooh, this is hydroponic. But every time I smoke, I just fall right asleep. So I'm not a big pothead, but I've been thinking about using it as a sleep aid. See if it still works.
I think drink does disrupt your sleep pattern, doesn't it? I don't know why, but
Well,
I think
sure,
it does.
but when I drink, I sleep through the night. I mean,
Hmm.
I sleep too long. But if like, so I usually drink Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday, and then Monday I sleep in till 10, 12 o'clock in the morning. But then Monday night I don't drink. Tuesday I'm up at usually twice during the night, and then I'm up at 6 o'clock, even if I go to bed at like midnight, and I can't fall back asleep. So then I get up and go out, go to work, and putz around, do whatever. And then when we get back to Friday, we start over.
Have you tried going on the wagon, Mike?
Probably not in the last 20 years. In my early 20s, I remember me, my pothead roommate, and my meth head roommate did a bet to see who could go longer, me without drinking, him without smoking pot, or him without doing meth. And they both cheated. We were on the honor system. I went like a year and a half without drinking. And then they admitted to, oh man, I started smoking pot like the month later. I couldn't make it a whole month. Now the meth head guy, he wasn't really a meth head. He did like one big meth deal every like 2 months with some homosexuals up in Atlanta. It's a long story, but he would pinch a big thing up. It was great because you always knew when he did his deal because the house would be clean.
There we go. You see, Claire, this is this is the power of meth. This is why they use meth for ADHD people. So you're saying
It's a motivator.
your friend would end up doing the mundane tasks, like he'd take his drugs, he'd get high. I don't want to end up getting high or whatever, but he'd take his drugs, he'd get high, and instead of like partying, what he'd do is clean the house.
Yeah, well, when you're up at 4 a.m, there's not a whole lot of people to party with, so you're up. You might as well do something.
But this is what I've heard. This is what I've heard, that these people they get high and instead they forget to go to the party. What they do instead is like they mow their lawn, they mow their lawn, clean their bathroom, and clean their house, do their laundry, and then they realize, oh shit, the party's over. It's too late now.
Those are the good methods. So is that what
I
Ritalin
want
is?
to be. I want to do that too.
Is that why everybody else gets high off Ritalin and ADHD people mellow out or something? What is Ritalin? Is that a methamphetamine?
Ritalin is amphetamine.
Okay, it's an amphetamine.
It's for ADHD children, right?
Right.
No, it's for adults too. Over here in the UK, they don't give us Adderall. All we can get access to is Ritalin. I think the only difference is that Ritalin, you have to swallow it, and so you can only pass through your stomach because it has to pass combined with something else. So basically, I don't think you can like snort it. So it's one of those things that you can't abuse. Basically, by like people will get Adderall and snort it.
Yeah, you got to chop it up to release it quicker than having it dissolve in your stomach.
Yeah, so you have to swallow the Ritalin. Maybe I'm wrong. But anyway, I'm now on the waiting list. Okay, I'm now on the waiting list. I finally got my letter through. And how long do you think the waiting list is?
3 months.
In the UK, what do you reckon?
3 months.
Mike, what do you think?
18 months. Your socialized medicine.
It's almost 3 years.
Oh, I was going to say 2 years, and I thought that's too much. First, I thought a year, and then I said, well, we got to go more to ding you.
It's 2 years. 2 years, 9 months.
Wow. Yeah.
That's what I'm just going to have to sit now and wait 2 years, 9 months to go see some. Some person is going to sit there and go, what are your pronouns? Okay. And do you often feel forgetful? Yes. Okay. Do you often misplace things? Yes. Okay. When was the last time that you cleaned your house? Okay. Okay, you can have Ritalin.
And speaking of that, not to sound like a Muslim, but I'm going to have to agree with Claire. I think you need a wife, someone to nag you. I've been a bachelor my whole life. I'm a procrastinator in my personal life, at least. In business, I get things done because there's always something else to do. But like, I bought my first house when I was 22, and I tore the kitchen apart. And I was going to redo the kitchen, and I think for 5 years I had like a plywood cabinet top with a electric wok on it because I didn't put a stove back in. And I'm like,
You might
that's
be ADHD, Mike.
I was thinking that, but I'm not a fidgeter. I can focus. Although
Right,
I'm
okay.
not good at reading books, as you were saying. I hadn't read a book. I'm like, I still haven't finished Claire's book. I'm like 10 pages from the ending.
Yeah,
I
but
remember
nobody has, to be fair. Nobody's managed to get through that thing.
They
it's
have.
it's like 100 pages, big print too.
You can read it in a few hours. It's just that you're
You can,
ADHD.
but
But
will you?
nobody has. This is the truth.
Yes, they have, but I guess they're forgotten, or they just never really properly absorbed it.
Well, there's
I
plenty of
think
things.
the problem is people just not applying themselves. That's what the problem is.
Yeah, sit still, laddie.
Yeah, well, this is what they used to say. You're just a naughty boy. You know, why can't you just sit still, Stephen? Why can't you just be like the other children? Blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, finally when I got into a class where, like, the teacher is just like, let's just get rid of him. Let's just, the classes start. Just take him out. Take him into the other room, will you? And sit with him, for God's sake. Anyway.
I think we just need to be punished, I don't want to sound kinky, but
Yeah,
I
not
think
back to this, Claire, on your fetish of being whipped.
punishment.
Yeah, Claire would have just given me the ruler, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you would make a good nun too, Claire. Just cross the knuckles with the ruler.
Yeah.
Well, I had that treatment myself.
That
And
explains
sometimes,
a lot.
I think pain is a great motivator, and it sounds like all these drugs that people take dull the pain. And I'm saying the problem is you guys not feeling enough pain. You need more pain to motivate you to solve your problems. There we go.
Yeah, I suppose, look, it's like there's something kind of black about ADHD. And I mean that, like, as in, like Edward Dutton talks about, like, your time, what is it that he talks about? Your time preferences. Well, it's really hard with ADHD to look at, like, the reward that's coming off far off in the future. And so now I have to do all these mundane things that I'm not going to get rewarded for here and now, but there'll be a payoff in the end. Or, the other thing is, or that I will avoid this pitfall far off into the future. Like, if I, keep up on this, if I return, these documents to the government that they asked me for or whatever, rather than wait till they come round, bray on my door and say, last fucking chance, lad, then, it's really hard just to keep up with all this stuff. And there's something about that that's kind of black. So maybe as ADHD people have affinity with the black community.
Well, Stephen, did you say you were in the fight game? You were a professional fighter?
Yeah, for a while.
Was that you embracing the pain, wanting pain?
No, I don't think
No.
so.
You were just good at it? Were you like a boxer?
Yeah,
MMA?
Muay Thai.
Muay Thai.
Types. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I excelled at it as a kid. First of all, I started doing karate as a kid. I got my black belt by 11, and looking back, it's looking back, a little 11-year-old black belt. You shouldn't really be handing black belts to 11-year-olds. So I guess it was a McDojo, but anyway, I loved it at the time. I excelled. And then I found out about Muay Thai, and so, started doing that, and, I excelled at it. I was like a bit of a little child prodigy for a while. I was a youth champion. I got this scholarship to go, to Thailand at
Thailand.
17 and go, yeah, Thailand, and fight out of you train and fight out of the one of the top gyms, Thailand.
You don't know
So I lived it.
Daniel Dury? Was that his name? I don't know. Have you seen like
Dury.
Bobby's Perspective? I don't know. Maybe you don't know, but I'm an anti-Islamic Islamophobe troll. So there's like
Yeah, Claire tells me so.
yeah, this guy Bobby's Perspective. He lives in Thailand, and I guess he was a bodybuilder, and then maybe did some Muay Thai or something. He had another guy on, and then there's this Grayson Brock kid who isn't a Muslim yet, but he claims he's looking into it. He went to Thailand. He wasn't like professional or something, but he fought a professional Thai boxer and got knocked on his ass. But
Yeah.
there seems to be a lot of combat sports among the Muslims. They like their MMA. And
Yeah, it's interesting. Muay Thai has been pretty much Asian and European. This was one of the appeals of it. If you go to at the time I tried out, I don't really remember how I ended up on Muay Thai. But I do recall going to a boxing gym, and I think I went to a kickboxing gym. Whatever. The difference is with boxing gym. There's I hate to say it, call me whatever, but there's loads of black kids always in a boxing gym. Very different with Muay Thai. So I know it's very attractive. It attracts a different sort of clientele. It's Asians, Thais obviously, and Europeans, because there's a strong European streak in kickboxing. So I much more preferred that crowd. That's what I gravitated. That's what I ended up doing. Found a good Thai gym, and that's what I was into. But you're right. There is more Southeast Asians nowadays getting into these kinds of things, especially with UFC and MMA. That's what everybody wants to finally end up in. That's where the money is.
yeah, well, it was funny watching the evolution of MMA. It went from straight brawling to then it seemed like the top tier wrestlers kind of dominated. Yeah, obviously the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys, but there's few of them who are top tier. But some of the wrestlers would just take the strikers down, and they couldn't defend it. And then the strikers got better takedown defense, and it seems to be the wrestlers aren't doing
really.
It were.
The not the golden age, but for me, the greatest period of UFC was probably the first 6 or something, or 1 to 10, where people have no idea what to do, what's going to work, basically. And so you got the pure karate guy trying to fight the the kickboxer guy or something, and so you have these complete different styles almost going against each other, or a kickboxer going against a pure grappler, and then
Right.
the evolution quickly worked out that what you need is the mixture, the mixed martial arts. This is how it came from.
The original mix was just the mixture of fighters.
Yes.
And then the mix became the fighter knew all the arts to some degree.
Yeah. So those early days were really indicative of what worked against what. And
yeah,
where
Randy
the failures
Couture
were.
was just a straight grappler, just ran at you, kind of got you, could punch you, could, take a leg or something,
Yeah.
but couldn't, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu choke you out unless you just got a rear naked choke on you or something.
Yeah.
And I think the early part was just also a lot of it just you're willing to take punishment,
Yeah, and so let's be honest, both now the game is effectively just like boxing and grappling.
Right.
This is what it is. And nearly every fight goes to the ground. but you have to be a good striker anyway. You can't just go in and hope to grapple, because obviously if somebody has good takedown defense, they might not let you take them down. So but basically it's boxing and grappling. Certainly, there's something like karate doesn't work. You can't go into the UFC as a karate guy and like hope to win. So it showed the failings of like these pure martial arts, but nobody ever declared that like a pure martial art was necessarily for like brawling.
War.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I suppose they did come from war. This was like I suppose they did come from like war, like karate in Japan or whatever. Training people how to fight hand to hand. But nobody ever declared that like they were the best for every situation. And how they developed like karate is an ethos and is a practice. It is an art form. That's why it's called an art, a martial art with combat involved. But a lot of it's bullshit. In particular, the stance is too wide for takedown defense. You're gonna get your legs taken. So this is like a fundamental problem with karate. You take a wide stance, somebody's gonna grab your legs.
Right. Well, that's the thing. Like it's almost like an agreement that you don't do that. It reminds me of I was watching the History Channel one time, and they said I think there was a Korean invasion into Japan, and some of the samurais rode out to meet the Korean guys, and they got off their horses and they rolled their scrolls out and they started reading how many people they had killed and who they were, and like we will enter single combat with you and blah blah blah, and the Koreans just started shooting arrows at them.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I still love the fact I did karate. I would promote it to anybody who has like a young son or a teenager or anything like that. I'd say start them younger. I think it was great. I think it's one of the things that helped me with my ADHD. My parents were smart. They like found something that I could focus all this like excess energy into, and I kind of excelled in it. But the idea you're going to become...
I think the martial arts guys claim that's almost like a cure for HD.
Yeah, well,
you have to
teaches you
discipline. Discipline, right?
Yeah. Discipline.
Yeah.
You have to memorize the kata, the form. You learn a form like the kihon, a strike, a particular strike, like left hand block. It's like that's a technique, and then what you're taught is kata, which are putting these together in forms. So moving from one move to another, and you'll have defensive forms, which will be several moves all in one, and then you'll have offensive forms, and then you have kata that are weapons kata, using various weapons or disarming people. So you have to memorize the forms, and so this is really good like training for the brain, I suppose. So
Right.
all this helped me.
That's the same as like Taekwondo then, right? Because I worked at a neighborhood center. I remember I used to watch the Taekwondo classes, and the little kids, they teach what arm goes there, blah, blah, kick, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And you progress and progress and progress. And like you said, ultimately you get into some weapons use and whatnot.
And the belt system.
And then you get a belt
is good.
What a lot of people say is monetized. You have to buy your belts. But
well, you don't have to buy the belt. You have to pay for the test. So you have to pay so it's like paying for the belt. Obviously, there's an exam, you see, to get the belt. Usually there will be a set time between. So if you get one belt, there will be a set time before you can apply for the next one. You can ask for your exam, like for your brown belt or something. ask to sit the test, and then you're paying the instructor to do the test with you. So like the black belt test is 4 hours long. You're paying him for the to do that test with you for 4 hours.
Okay. Well, I got to go. It's my sister-in-law's birthday. We're going to a Japanese steakhouse. Hopefully they don't break any karate out on us.
Sounds good.
Always nice chatting to you,
Mike.
Stephen. Namaste.
All right, Mike. Namaste.
Claire.
Have a good dinner.
All right, thanks.
And finish that book.
He's not going to finish it, Claire.
10 more pages, he says.
You could have just put toilet jokes on the last page. Nobody's ever going to get there.
No, because people aren't interested in ideas. They just sort of want stories, right? They want stories. They want lies. They're asking to be lied to. And the narrative is really the most important thing. First, you have to get them to listen to your story, and you have to get them to like your story, and then you have to get them to want to believe your story. And once you, and that's what I'm working on with my educational and social program.
I've not asked you yet. What do you think to the show that we're doing on Thursdays? Have you listened to much?
I listened to it all the way through.
Oh, wow. So it must have been all right.
I thought it was quite good. I thought it raised a lot of philosophical issues that I wanted to discuss with you. And I think we got a bit sidetracked, but I think I didn't mention them, even if we didn't discuss them in detail.
Yeah.
So I think I'm just going to sum up what I thought I wanted to discuss before you go.
Yeah.
Which is moral agency, which is about, we're born the way we are. We were born from parents, and we didn't really have a choice, and with our particular race and nationality, status, sex, etc. And I think the only way we can show our moral agency is to choose the best possible religion for our people. And if we can't even do that because we're afraid of what mum and dad might think and the people around us might think, we are but cattle. And this is just what I wish to put to you. Because what you said today, like, we have to defend our national heroes, but what if your government has been lying to you? And that what you think is your national hero is not really your national hero, but somebody that you might not want to consider a national hero.
Then I think you have to be very, very careful about tearing down your mythical heroes. So yes,
you have to build another
theory.
one. You have to put in place a better narrative than the one you have pulled down. I agree. You can't just leave people without a belief system or a rule system. You have to replace it with something better.
Yeah, otherwise all you're doing is demoralizing people. So you see these Wignats.
I don't believe in doing that.
Yeah. So you see these Wignats and like academic agent and people and whatever who just wish to tear down the narrative of World War II. All they're doing is telling you, your granddad fought a hopeless war. Your granddad should have died on the beaches of Normandy. A foreign power should now rule over you. You should be speaking German. What a better place it would be. You're the problem. Your ancestors. You're the problem. And this is such a destructive, dangerous narrative to inculcate in people. This is why, like, so many of the Wignats are angry, hateful, disturbed, people, because they fundamentally believe, that they're, like, in a weird way, they've imbibed
the hopelessness and nihilism of all of this. And I'm saying, if you take the view that everything that ever happened was meant to happen, as the religious do, then what are we left with but to learn from our mistakes?
Of course, I agree with learning from mistakes. 100%. Yes. You know.
But but Christians are not prepared to admit mistakes. It's okay. Yom Kippur has come and gone. So whatever we think of Jews, they have this annual day when they're supposed to say sorry to everyone and reflect on their lives, right?
But instead, all they do is say that they'll excuse themselves from all the like sins and the misdeeds that they're going to do in the following year.
Well, actually, they have a system of the Kol Nidre is about
Yes. Yeah.
which promises to God that they want to roll over and which ones they
Yeah.
want to cancel.
Yeah.
And that's a good enough, year in review. It's like, maybe I didn't really mean it when I said, by God, I'm going to kill you, Stephen. Maybe I, think, oh, I don't really want to do that. So, and whether they do it properly or not, at least, they have in mind the idea of atonement, which I don't think is present in other religions, I don't think.
Dear God, forgive me for all the lying and subverting that I'm going to do in the next 12 months.
Do you think you are, do you lying a lot?
No, I
Or do you,
don't. No, I was making a joke about what certain groups of people might do.
well, I think the
Or should I say, this is the Wignat trope about the Kol Nidre thing that, you know, it's wrong because this is only like the deepest believing Jews anyway. Are they necessarily the real problem? Not that Jews necessarily are the problem. I'm just saying that, like, obviously the Wignats find something like this Kol Nidre where Jews basically forgive their like liars to God, and get them absolved. But it's a a category error, I suppose, because they're the ones that are doing all the politicking anyway aren't the religious ones going and doing the Kol Nidre shit anyway.
exactly, and so if the religious Jews are not being taken seriously, it's our fault because we are basically secular and atheist, and being secular atheist Gentiles, we would just be more we would associate with the Jews that are more secular and more like us.
Who the heck is Prophet was not a child molester, as Hadith says? That's obviously a troll, isn't it?
Yeah, he does pop up quite a lot. But yeah. One of the things that Vincent was talking about is with his Muslims is the Hadith, and he's got this guest who's a Hadith rejecter, and and these are all category errors because he's saying I'm perfectly happy being a Muslim. I don't consider myself a Shia or Sunni, and it's like, yeah, that's fine, that's all right for you, but you're not actually using your religion to its full effect. If you think it's just for me and I'm happy with believing this and that, it's like, no, you're supposed to, um, do the public morality thing, i.e., being the law, promoting Sharia for your society, and this I guess is what.
I was going to say they're still going, by the way.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, she's on. The Hasbro Barrett agent is on.
Oh,
Well, I mean, it's part of the history.
No, you said it's facts. You want to deal with facts. You said it's.
Well, I mean, I'd like to ask you if you have things in your text, like in the Torah. There's nothing.
No, you want to talk about the Talmud? We can talk about the Talmud.
Well,
I
there's
can
you
educate
don't
on the
have the
Talmud.
Talmud. You actually would have what you would have is something that's going around
No, no,
that
you
is
said
that is
something factually
propaganda.
incorrect. You said that if there's one pubic hair on a child, you can chop their head off, and you
No,
said
it's
that's
not
in the
that you
Quran.
can. This is what
No,
Muhammad did.
you said it's in the Quran. Show me where it's in the Quran. That's
Why can't
factually
anyone?
incorrect.
Why can't anyone look in the comment section? Is there something wrong
Okay,
that
do you
people can't
concede
look?
it? Do you take that back? That was a blatant lie.
But it was
It's not
actually
the
a part of
Quran.
Just like
history.
that 40 beheaded babies was a blatant lie as well. Just like the mass rapes that.
I
Okay, we'll stop that. For YouTube's sake, the 40 bearded babies was not a lie, okay? We don't deny real events here on this channel. Disavow.
That's Abu Mujahid.
Yeah. By the way,
I
you're
feel
still
like- I
in that
feel I have to
space
go and
as a
support
co-host.
him.
Right, you're still in that space as a co-host. All right, Claire, we'll bring this to an end then. It's been
Okay,
good
then.
talking to you. All right, have a good night.
You too. Good night. Thank
Bye.
you for coming. Bye.